Hi guys, and welcome to the Marc the Shark MMA show. Appreciate you guys watching me here on my Twitch channel. And don't forget, please follow me. If you happen to have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe for free. And also make sure you follow me on my social media accounts, including the Marc the Shark MMA show, YouTube channel, the Marc the Shark MMA show, Facebook channel. My Twitch channel is Marc BJJ Fighter. And my Instagram is Marc_Retorto. And don't forget, it's Marc with a C and not a K. And don't forget to visit the website where you can sign up to be a guest, you can sign up to become a sponsor, or you can shop. Get fabulous hoodies and t-shirts like the one I'm wearing right here. Not too shabby, right? And also you can make a donation. And also don't forget that I also have a podcast that comes out either on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Podbean, pretty much everywhere. I have a new episode that comes out every Friday or Sunday, depending on how the week goes. And then I'll be here on Twitch every Saturday, so make sure you watch me every single Saturday on this channel. All right, guys, stay tuned and watch the show and enjoy it.
Guys, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel and hit the alert button so you get updates. And also, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This podcast episode is brought to you by Defense Soap. Defend what you have built. Save 15% with the code Marc the Shark MMA Show, used by all jiu-jitsu and MMA athletes to prevent skin infections. This podcast is also brought to you by Audible. Go to www.audibletrial.com/MMA Show, and you get a free audiobook when you sign up for a 30-day trial. This episode is also brought to you by HostGator. Save 60% on your web hosting needs by using the promo code Marc the Shark MMA Show. Again, save 60% on your web hosting needs with HostGator. This podcast episode is also brought to you by Retorto Family Books. If you're interested in great books for your children to read, get books by Christina Retorto. And if you're interested in action, thriller, suspense books, you can get The Cabal, The Saga Begins, or fantasy books like Marcus the Vampire, both written by your host, Marc the Shark Retorto. Again, go to www.retortofamilybooks.com. Also, do not forget to go to the Marc the Shark MMA Show podcast website, the shop for our merchandise. We got t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, hats, and even mugs. Anything you can want with the Marc the Shark MMA Show podcast name on it. And also, please do not forget to go to our website where you can make a donation to support the podcast. All you have to do is click on the donation button. Hey. All right, everybody, we're back on the show. And today we're going to do a recap of UFC 249. I got MMA analyst Zane on the phone. How you doing today?
I'm good, Mark. I'm glad to be here.
So, with regards to UFC 249, who do you think was the best fight? Who would you give the fight of the night to?
Oh, I tell you, there were a lot of good fights, but I guess we have to start with Ferguson and Gaethje. Yeah, I just assume that's where you're going to start, maybe top down, or if you want to work up. But
whatever way works for you.
Well, I guess we could start there. You know, I don't want to take up too much time talking about all the great fights. One thing I do want to compliment the UFC for is that they're one of the companies that chose to move forward without an audience. And I thought that, I was like, well, first of all, they got plenty of money and they want to try and give the fans what they, I guess, want. And just the fact that they can show everybody, hey, this is how we can do it. We don't need to pack everybody in. So I was really appreciative as a fan to see that the fighters were comfortable and they spread everybody out. Everybody had masks on. Everyone got tested. So I like the way that they treated the fighters. I like the way that they gave the fans a show. And I just want to show my appreciation to all the fighters out there that chose to move forward.
And, I just thought of something, Zane. It was probably the only sporting event on. It's been on, right, since the coronavirus outbreak. So this
I,
may give an opportunity to a person who probably would normally not watch it to watch it. So they may have gained like a new fan base because of that. I just thought of that now, actually.
it's absolutely possible. I think that, I don't know the statistics or whatever. I just was appreciative as a fan.
Yeah, same here. It was longing for UFC, you know.
All right. So as far as the fight goes, I mean, I just thought that Ferguson and Gaethje both gave an amazing show. It was just so surprising that neither one of them chose to at any point go for a real significant takedown. I don't remember there even being a takedown. Maybe a couple of times that they might have tied up and maybe got the back a little bit, but it was mostly just a stand-up war. And I was just incredibly impressed by Gaethje. I always felt like, wow, if this guy could actually learn to play distance, not get hit enough, and just be more accurate, he's got incredible strength and stamina and wrestling ability. And I just always liked Gaethje. He was just a really, really nice guy. He didn't talk crap. He didn't have to talk crap. And he, win or lose, he was always respectful. And I'm just really glad that he won. Ferguson, for some reason, always rubbed me the wrong way. He
Yeah,
just,
I know you always would say that. Me, I just like to watch him fight. I'm not really one to watch all the press stuff. I've been slacking on watching all that. I usually just watch the last year, so just the main event. I
I,
don't watch the
I'm not
press or
taking
anything.
anything away from Ferguson. I mean, he's an amazing fighter, very, very, and just number one, I knew he was so tough, and now it's even a higher amount of respect that I have for him because he took a beating. There was at least 4 or 5 times he should have been knocked out, and the amazing chin that he had to
Right.
take all that. I mean, how many? You first of all, I feel that Mark, you have a great chin, but how many times would you have gotten knocked out that
Oh,
night?
a lot. And then forget about Gaethje's leg kicks, man. I just remember seeing him in a World Series and fighting like before he got to the UFC. I'm like, this guy is gonna be someone to reckon with. So when I first found out that he was going to the UFC, I knew right away he was gonna be in the top 3. So it's good to see. I mean, I think this was for the interim title, so it'd be interesting to see him go
It,
against Khabib.
it's going to be very interesting. Um, yeah, it's first of all, I keep wanting to talk about the fight. Number one, yes, I might not like Tony Ferguson too much. I don't like his antics a little bit too much, like Conor McGregor. Show off, talking crap, but incredible fighter, like many other fighters in the UFC. Incredible chin, the type of stamina, the type of cardio, the type of just toughness. I mean, you got to give it up to him.
Yep.
Gaethje, he took a really bad uppercut, which was beautifully placed, perfect timing from Tony, and that rocked him. I mean, I've seen Gaethje rocked plenty of times, and then he
Oh
comes back.
yeah.
But the thing is, that was one where it was just so perfectly put. Like, it could have been where if Tony maybe followed up correctly, it could have been a very different night. But he was able to move, shake it off, come back, and after 10 seconds of taking that shot, he was back in the game. So I just think it was, and so many other times you could never count Tony out. He was, even in the very last round, a minute and a half before the end of round 5, even then you couldn't count him out. I mean, if he
Yeah.
just came across with a hook or a left, he's got a lot of power when he wants to, and he knows how to throw. So he was always dangerous, and I give both fighters just incredible props. Props for just everything, just as far as fighting ability, toughness, and and just what a show that they put on, especially with all this going on. It seemed
Yeah, I
like
know.
both fighters just put their work in the gym. I mean, that's another thing that people don't see. They don't see all of the hard work and beatings that they take in the gym. You've seen it, I've seen
Yeah.
it, and I just, if you don't train and you're not around it, you don't realize what goes into becoming that level of a champion.
Yeah, I agree. Now, what did you think of Henry Cejudo and a Dominic Cruz fight? That was a good one too.
Another one. I just like it. It was a really great matchup with a bunch of fights that were on the card. And I have to say, anybody who missed these fights, go back and watch them. Just I mean, it was the type of power that was shown that night with how people threw their punches and how it landed. And what was kind of crazy is that I felt as a fan watching this UFC, you heard a lot more. It wasn't drowned out by all of the audience in the background.
That's true. That's
So
true.
it was like you were in the gym watching a spar, like whether it's like, all right, let's spar, but let's go 100%. You remember so many times you're in the gym. Let's say, all right, we don't care about the body, but go 25% or 50% to the head.
Yeah,
This was
I
like
remember
watching
this.
Spartan. You remember those times, and then it turns into 50%, 75%.
Yeah.
But it was crazy because you heard every grunt. You heard, even if it was a rib shot, you heard, ugh, and how
Yeah.
the back of the glove hitting the body. You heard it, and it just made it seem like they were throwing it harder. But it was, probably just like a normal UFC fight, but it was just more intense. You didn't have everyone going, oh, whoa. It was pretty quiet when these punches
Yeah.
were thrown. You actually
Now,
a
getting
couple of
back to Dominic Cruz's fight, do you think that was
oh yeah.
it was a
I think
legit stoppage, or because
you know what? I can understand the stoppage. I feel it was a legit stoppage. However, I would have let it go just a little bit further because I do feel that he was trying to get up. He did get incredibly rocked, and he was getting beat on. And I feel he would have lost and taken maybe another couple of knees or punches and been out. But I do feel like, he was trying to get up, like he was stepping up, and then they came in. So,
I mean, he wasn't knocked out like the way Robbie Lawler knocks people out. He was
he didn't go
he was
stiff.
out for that couple of seconds. He was. I think he was working his way up. I think especially since it was for the belt, and he's not only was it for the belt, he held it. He was like the man to beat in that division for so long. Like I think they should have let it go. At least another minute just to see what would happen.
Well, I can even
It wasn't
see,
like he had a big contusion on his head or his head was split open.
it looked bad. The bombs that, so first of all, Cejudo, you got to give it up to him. When he first came in, he was pretty much just a wrestler. And he really, first of all, he has great coaches because anybody who put the game plan together to say chop at the legs, great idea. And whoever
And he
taught
did it
him,
in a unique way too. He was kicking like if it didn't miss one, it would go to the other. It was like unique.
Right. It was very much a let's not waste one swing. It was every single leg kick, every single punch had a lot of power, accuracy, and just bad intent. There was no like feeling out, kind of pawing out there. It was like move and swing, move and chop, move and throw. It was, and he was not, there was no like, I'm going to circle, I'm going to do it. It was like cut him off, slow him down, and get right into it. And everything that he threw was devastating. And he from coming from not being a fighter, a full, whatchamacallit,
Mixed martial arts.
not being a mixed martial arts, coming in as like a tough guy, someone who obviously knows the ground, he learned, I think, kind of quickly on how, and just he came up in stages. It was like, okay, Henry Cejudo, wrestler, and he won a couple fights. Then Henry Cejudo, now he's learning how to throw and kick. And then Henry Cejudo, now he's really putting his game plan to it. And then it was this level. I kind of saw like 4 different levels of Henry Cejudo. And
Here's
this
a
is
question for you. Do you think he's going to stay retired?
You know what? You got Uriah Faber coming back, but Uriah Faber was never a champion. He was never a champ. So maybe
He was a champ in the WEC, but I know what you mean. He was
right. Since the UFC came about, I kind of look at that as like a true champion. It seems to be the elite of the elite are in UFC. All the other organizations, as much as I respect them and I like having them around, you kind of come into the UFC and you really call yourself a champion when you're the champion of the UFC, in my opinion, anyway. But I think that Henry Cejudo, you know what? If he stays retired for more than 5 years, he ain't coming back, and it wouldn't be smart for him to come back.
Yeah, I predict he comes back in 2 years.
If he comes back within 5 years, I agree with you. He's still got a shot. But any more than 5 years,
Yeah, because some of them I know it's probably money. I don't know if because they don't make, unless you're a champ for a long time, and it seems like unless you're a heavyweight, you don't get paid the big bucks, or you're like McGregor. But
I think that they're.
It all depends on how he has himself set up financially. But I think a lot of them, they just got that itch. I think
it's a lot of what you said. I think it's a lot of what you said. Number one, they got the itch for it. There's a lot. There's the itch for it just because this is what you know and you want to get back into the game. Number two, no one, they kind of forget about you. You don't have the type of respect that you used to have when you were in the game. So people don't want to train with you, or people don't think that you're as great anymore. They don't laugh at your jokes as much, and also it's
I never thought about that, but I guess that's
well, think about it. It's like saying if you're in your gym and you're the top guy in your gym and you beat everybody, and then all of a sudden you're getting a little bit older, someone else comes in new, they challenge you, and then someone beat him today, and then all of a sudden now you're getting beat regularly, and then it's like, well, you're not the exciting guy, you're not the guy that everyone listens to when you're getting together, or you're doing something on the ground, or that you're talking. Just seems to be people listen to the people that tend to win more often. Most of the time, that's the way it goes. That's why karate instructors open up their school and they say, I'm the guy that you want to listen to because I win all the time, or I'm great at this, watch me, So, but, if you get beat up all the time, tend to be like, well, I don't want to learn from a guy that gets beat up all the time or that loses. I want to learn from a winner, Now, some guys that I can't wait to talk about, Ngannou.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get into, the next one.
I don't think he's
fastest knockout of the night. It was 20 seconds.
And the thing is, you add up a couple of his last fights. I think it took him, the last 4 or 5 fights, it took him 2 minutes to knock out like everybody in his last 4 or 5 fights. But this is a guy who I do not feel, as much as I respect him, I think he's a nice guy, and the power that he has, I would never want to fight him. He would be the last one out of everybody on the roster that I would want to fight. I mean, he could kill you with one shot, and he could kill a heavyweight with one shot.
And what's amazing? It's amazing is how him and his opponent, right? They were huge. What were like 250? They're 250 pounds, and they're somewhat, they got like a 6-pack. Then you get like these 155-pounders. They got like little like love handles. Like I'm gonna get when we get to it, Anthony Pettis, and he had like love handles that night. I can't figure that out.
Well, I have my opinions about that too, but as to how I feel about it in general, and number two, why I feel it's there. But getting to finish up, like 2 or 3 fights ahead, to finish up with Cejudo. I feel that, yes, it was early, but I honestly feel that they probably, if they let it go, it would have been stopped within the next 10 seconds. I think that there would have been another knee, an uppercut, a swing. I don't think that he would have swiveled his way out. And I just think that, I think he was done. But I do, and I don't like the way Dominic Cruz kind of reacted. He made it seem like I was fine. No, you weren't fine. You were getting your ass kicked. And you could have at least admitted, like, I don't know, I probably would have lost the fight, but I would have appreciated that little bit extra, time. I've been around in the game for a long time. I'm a cerebral fighter. At least give me a chance. Don't react like a baby and, then say, oh, the guy was drunk who was, refereeing the fight. I mean, there was a lot there. I felt that, he could have reacted differently. But do you want to talk about the heavyweight fight?
Yeah, Cejudo, yeah.
All right.
Nagaru and Rosenstruck.
Yeah.
20 seconds. There's not much to talk about in that one.
Well, actually, it's kind of funny. Sometimes the shortest fights, you could have a lot to talk about. You could talk about, anything controversial, but I number one feel it was not an early stoppage on this one. He crushed him with, I think the crushing blow was the left kind of, I think it was mostly a left hook. He just basically threw a couple of punches and then maybe backed him up a little bit. And then he's one of those guys kind of like Tyson, like, do not back up straight because what's going to come later is devastation. And that's what happened. He came in, you're backing up. And then he just started swinging, caught him with an amazing left hook. And I think that just dropped him. And then it was very, very soon after that they stopped it. But it was nothing, the fight, the punches that he was throwing, that they're not so technical. He's just so incredibly naturally blessed with the ability to generate such power with his hands. And I think he can take a pretty good shot, but there was a couple of times I remember that he got a little bit rocked when he fought Stipe. I was even going to talk about that a little bit because I think that he wants to fight Stipe again. But I think that it's going to be Stipe and whatchamacallit? Oh, Stipe and who am I talking about? The commentary, the heavyweight commentary. Who am I talking about, Mark?
Cormier?
Cormier and Stipe 3. That's what it was. So they have to fight.
I thought Cormier was done for some reason.
I don't know. I think that they're going to do a Cormier Stipe 3 and get. I don't think he wants to end on a loss to Stipe. But I think if they fought, I honestly think that Stipe would win. I think that Stipe has more confidence now, and if Stipe would just learn how to throw better, like he threw better when he was fighting. When he was fighting, not Sixstar. When he was fighting. Not Sixstar, not Nagara. Who am I thinking of? The guy who we just talked about, the devastating punching.
Francis?
Well, yeah, Francis Ngannou. So Francis Ngannou, when he fought Stipe, Stipe was throwing, I feel, a lot better. He seemed, I think that Stipe seemed tentative when he was fighting Cormier. But anyway, getting back to Ngannou.
Yeah.
They even showed clips on YouTube how he was getting trained by Tyson, and how Tyson's trying to make, I guess, some old boxers are trying to,
Oh yeah, Tyson's coming back, dude.
Well, I
don't know. I forget who he's fighting, but he's fighting in a bare knuckle match.
I don't know if that's going to be true. I mean, is this
true?
Where and with who?
It's you probably haven't. There's a bear. I forget what it's called. You haven't seen him on YouTube? I think you also stream him. It's like a bare knuckle fighting championships. But I don't know who runs it.
Well, we gotta get back to that. But anyway. Ngannou, he was getting trained by Tyson, and I've been watching a lot of Tyson videos lately, and he's basically showing everyone, this is what I've been doing. These are the secret moves or the signature moves that I've been doing, and you just think it's Tyson moving forward, swinging, but the way he moves in on a guy and steps out of the way and throws these hooks that he's just naturally generates his power from. It's just, you learn a lot about the footwork that he has and the speed, and how he generated all that power. And just imagine if Ngannou was able to take half of that type of movement, and like the head movement and the footwork. Imagine if he had half of that, and then learned how to stop a takedown. The guy would, just no one would want to fight him.
Now, what did you think about, this is tied for second fastest knockout of the night, the Calvin Kattar versus Jeremy Stephens fight?
That guy,
that was pretty good too.
It was. I remember watching that guy fight, Calvin. Yeah, I had a very strong feeling that he was going to win. There's like one or two other guys that I'm thinking of that are like him, but he was one of the guys that because both these guys I'm thinking of, I forget the names, but the Calvin and somebody else, they fight very similar, and they're extremely accurate. And for some reason, Calvin, I guess he was more of like a feeling out process. Plus, Anthony Stephens is no one to take lightly, and Anthony Stephens, he was coming out with some good moves, but I knew this guy, he was going to unleash the type of footwork and accuracy, and I would say not awkward, but more unorthodox, type of movement that some fighters are not used to. So I knew that was coming. And then when he started to lay it on,
I couldn't recall if I ever seen him fight, so I was actually shocked that. Because, I remember when we were watching it, you said that you kind of remember Stephens getting knocked out before. I couldn't recall it, but I'm sure it's true. So
he
got knocked out. And he got knocked out pretty bad, too. He got back up after it was over, and I was like, wow, how's he getting up after that shot? Actually, now I remember how he knocked him out with an elbow, right? That's what the first one was?
Because it was so fast, and usually, like, I would say, like hooking elbows are so fast, people think that it was just a punch, like a right hook, but it wasn't. It was he knew he was going to throw an elbow, and it was just so perfectly placed and timed, the way the footwork was in order to kind of come around. Bones Jones is pretty good at doing that. I think that this guy might even be better, the way he threw his hook. Bones Jones, he actually is good at throwing a jabbing elbow, like the way he throws it.
And then he does a spinning one, and then he does an uppercut one.
Right.
This guy definitely trained it.
Yeah, this guy.
I thought it was a punch till I saw the replay.
So did I. It was so fast.
It was like, oh. And then when Jeremy got up and he was looking like he was kind of normal, I'm like, how does this guy have all those teeth? He's definitely got to have some loose teeth from that. That was some shot.
They were. You know what? There was a fight recently. It's not UFC 249, but it was the Smith, Textara.
That's that one. Yeah, that was pretty good too.
But I think that there might have been a tooth issue with Anthony Smith in that one, but that's for another a later date. But as far as well, when we got more time. But I was just very, very impressed with the speed, the accuracy, the footwork, and the tools that Calvin had in order to meet Anthony Stephens head on and take him out. There's not many people that want to stand in front of that guy, because he's, the power that he has, and this guy delivered. He just took him out. He took him out of his game. That's where Anthony Stephens is strong. So, as a lightweight, I'm sorry, not as a lightweight. He's a featherweight, right?
Yeah, I think that was a featherweight fight. Yeah.
As a featherweight, there's not many people that want to stand with Anthony Stephens, and and much less feel comfortable, and then knock him out. That sets a tone right there. He made a statement like, I can take you out on the feet if I want to. There's not many people that can do that to Anthony
Yep.
So
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I
I
enjoyed it.
absolutely enjoyed it. I feel that they were just a bunch of good fights that night. I was very impressed. Very happy that there wasn't much on the ground that night. And I love the ground. I know that you got your brown belt. I trained with you for much of the time. I'm not high level, but I feel that I know the ground, and I feel that I'm surprised that there wasn't much more where people might have chose to take someone down. But a lot of these fighters were, I would say, but actually, no, I have to take that back. I mean, Anthony Gaethje, at any time, he could have took Tony to the ground. But maybe he felt like, you know what I'm doing on the feet is working,
Yep.
and I wouldn't want Tony to get a rest, or I wouldn't
Yep.
want him, because I feel that Tony's jiu-jitsu, a lot of good people, people who know the ground well, they say that he is amazing on the ground. So
Yep.
why, if you're Gaethje, why take it to? I feel he's a great wrestler, but why take that chance? If something is working, 5-3 on, in your favor on the feet, then, why go 50-50 on the ground? So I think that's why he chose, that route.
Yep. I agree. Well, Zane, I think we're a little bit out of time here. It was great having you back. I'll see you probably in a week or two, and we'll do another UFC recap, or maybe we do fight picks next time, or fight picks of one, and recap of another. All right?
That might be fun. I appreciate it.
Yep. All right, man. We'll talk later. Enjoy the rest of your day. Appreciate having you on the show. All right, guys, we'll be back after this break.
All right, guys, we'll be right back, but first a word from our sponsors.
During World War II, I was in prison in a Nazi camp. I died there, or so I thought. Instead, I became a creature of the dark world. Now I fight to protect my daughter. I am Marcus the Vampire. The book is now available at Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com and RetortoFamilyBooks.com.
All right, guys, this week's episode is done on a live show. But if you happen to be listening to this in the podcast format, keep listening because there's more content to follow. All right, guys, see you guys next week.